I want you to answer one simple question. Do you care about your future? Bad but tasty food? Do it. Long night, no sleep? Do it. Procrastinate? Do it. But where it will bring you in the future? Hey friends, welcome to my channel. Today we are talking about how to start taking care of your future. Why don't people save for retirement? Life expectancy has increased, so it's logical that more money will be needed for a comfortable existence after leaving work. Yet the average man 15 years from retiring is saving only 1/3 of what he needs to maintain his current standard of living. People spend money today worsening their well-being in the future. To explain the reason for this behavior, an experiment conducted during which the brains of participants were scanned. At the same time, they were asked to what extent such qualities as honest or funny are applicable to them now and in the future, and also how they correspond to another person now and another person in the future. Scientists noted which part of the brain lights up during the response. Not surprisingly, the brains fired up the most when participants thought about themselves in the present, and least when they thought about other people. But it is interesting that the brain activity when thinking about yourself in the future was very similar to what happened when people thought not about themselves, but about others. It turns out that when we imagine ourselves in a month, a year or 10 years, the brain fixes this person in much the same way as Taylor Swift would fix or the driver in a passing car. From this point of view, saving for retirement is like giving money to a stranger. We act in our own interests, so the refusal of saving seems completely logical. Such conclusions can calm chronic procrastinators. It turns out that the tendency to put things off until later is not a moral defect but a feature of the nervous system. Our brains are wired to take care of the present first. On the other hand, this further complicates the pursuit of the long-term goals. After all, you need to fight not with a lack of willpower, but with your own biology. If we perceive the future self as a stranger, self-destructive actions become meaningful. Naturally, we watch a series instead of working out, go to social networks instead of finishing an article, or agree to an interesting project for which we definitely won't have enough time. We get a concrete and immediate positive result, and someone else will suffer the hypothetical consequences. Also, the fact that it's ourselves in the future. We often take on too many responsibilities. Think, for example, of a time when you agreed to something despite a busy schedule. Perhaps you were driven by the anticipation of an interesting challenge or social pressure. In any case, it seems to you that your abilities and motivation would somehow increase in the future. But when it comes time to deliver on a promise, you still think about the comfort of the moment first, not the consequences. It seems to us that tomorrow everything will be different and we will be different. But because of this, we again put our mood in the present first, and not the consequences of inaction that we will face in the future. This leads to psychological and sometimes physical discomfort. We create our own stress, anxiety and fear of failure. It's called resistance. Of course, the future self inevitably becomes the real self, and we have to deal with what we have been putting off, and also with the accumulated feeling of guilt and anxiety. We are in a vicious circle, but there are some skills to break it. Talking about skills, I want to thank Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creators. Explore new skills, deepen existing passions, and get lost in creativity. It is curated specifically for learning, meaning there are no ads and there are always launching new premium classes, so you can stay focused and follow whenever your creativity takes you. Skillshare offers membership with meaning, with so much to explore, real projects to create, and the support of fellow creatives. Skillshare empowers you to accomplish real growth. The first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description will get a 1 month free trial of Skillshare, so you can start exploring your creativity today. Last month my goal was to improve my video scripting skill, and I joined a class called How to Write the Perfect YouTube Video Script by Dallin Reese Fellow, and I'm still enjoying it. How to deal with stress and guilt. Force your future self to do what you don't want to do now. First, you have a serious advantage. You know your weaknesses and can predict how you will think and act in the future. So you can resist yourself. Don't expect tomorrow to magically have motivation and willpower. Expect the worst from yourself. Secondly, do everything to make it easier for yourself. If you want to save, connect the monthly automatic transfer of money to your savings account. Then you will not have free money to spend on nonsense. If you are aiming for a healthy diet, always keep healthy snacks on hand. Prepare food for the week ahead on Sunday and freeze a few servings for an emergency. Need to start a project that you have been putting off for a long time? Prepare everything you need in the evening. For example, in the morning you want to finish an article. Then in the evening close all unnecessary tabs in the browser, leaving only the document with text. Of course, this does not guarantee the absence of procrastination. Try to ensure additionally, if while working at the computer you are often distracted by social networks, install an extension or plugin that limits the time on such sites. If you want to work out in the morning but find it difficult to get yourself out of bed, set an alarm that forces you to solve math problems or scan a barcode. Need to save money? Unsubscribe from all mailing lists with discounts and blog sites where you often buy. If you want to play sports, report a friend or sign up for joint classes and pay for them. Costs and social pressure will help you keep on track. And remember, nothing motivates like the good old deadline. Install it and choose the unpleasant consequences in case of delay. Convince yourself in the present that you are in the future. It is still the same you. In the new experiment, scientists took a picture of the participant and visually aged their faces in the photo editor. The subjects were placed in virtual reality conditions where they looked in the mirror and saw their aged face. After that, they said they would save 30% more than the control group who were not reminded of their old age. You can repeat this experiment. For example, write a letter to yourself in the future. According to the research, those who wrote a letter to themselves in 20 years in the following days exercised more than those who wrote to themselves in 3 months. Another option is to bring the future closer. When we think of upcoming events in days rather than years, we think they will come sooner. This was confirmed by an experiment. A participant who thought about retirement in terms of days rather than years started saving 4 times faster. Here is what to do to remind yourself how little really separates you today from your years later. Write a letter from your future self. Imagine what your life will be like in a few decades and what will be important to you. Set deadlines for goals in weeks, days, or even hours. Visualize the path to the goal in the form of a table where each square is one day. Circle those elements that reflect important milestones. Every evening, write down what you did that day and cross out the box. In the morning, imagine that you are completely satisfied with the past day. Think about what business will give you this feeling and start with this. Use instant rewards for your advantage. When choosing goals, we usually focus on long-term results. Lose weight, get a promotion, master a skill. While goals like these are inspiring, they do little to help you take the necessary steps day by day. To do this, it is more useful to reformulate your actions in terms of instant gratification. In achieving goals, the pleasure of the process is more important than the benefit in the long run. Use this to motivate yourself. For instance, to play sports, do not think that in 6 months you will have a perfect body. Find a sport that gives you pleasure and focus on the good feelings and good mood that it brings now. Don't force yourself to study to earn good grades. Choose subjects that interest you and enjoy your learning process. Send emails to customers not to meet a monthly or annual sales target, but to turn off the computer at the end of the day without guilt. Or turn productivity into a game. Combine boring tasks with something enjoyable. For example, with a trip to a favorite coffee shop, an interesting podcast, or a delicious snack. We find it difficult to make decisions about what to spend time and money on, what to eat, how to often exercise. Therefore, there cannot be one simple answer to how to deal with procrastination. But by understanding the cognitive bias that prevents you from seeing yourself in the future as you are in the present, you will take one step closer to your goals. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to constantly evolve. Bye bye.